Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Extreme Hangout. We're here at COP29, the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Baku, Azerbaijan. My name is Emily McLone, and I work as the director of Peace Boat US, an international organization working to promote peace, sustainability, and human rights around the world. We are sailing for ocean conservation and climate action, and especially focused on youth empowerment for the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. So today we have a film festival, which we're really excited to introduce some new films for you all. And the first film that we're going to be starting with is called Hope. And today we also have the director of the film, Mr. Luis Barreto from Colombia, who's joined us not once, but twice on board the Peace Boat to create documentaries about ocean conservation. Everybody, please give him a warm welcome. Luis, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Luis, so tell me, you just made this film, Hope. We sailed through the Arctic. We went from London to Norway, all the way up to Svalbard, over to Iceland. How was your experience making the film?
Well, basically, as you say, it was an incredible journey for landscapes and especially with the youth, very inspiring. So overall, it was very positive experience. We are in this platform as Peace Boat, floating platform, and we met incredible people. You get so much inspiration about this topic and hope at the end, because this is all about to learn about these topics and look for solutions and hope for something else.
That's right. We're all about inspiring hope. So the title of this short film is called Hope, and it features 15 youth from all around the world who are traveling through the Arctic, sharing their stories for ocean conservation and climate action, including young leaders, especially from small island developing states. The beginning features a young leader coming from the Cook Islands, correct? Tell us a little bit about your experience. You are also in all of the activities with these youth on board.
Yeah, that's also interesting, because most of the participants coming from very different parts of the world to experience different landscapes and environments. And then, for example, for this guy from Cook Island, experiencing this cold weather, winter. It was summer, but still cold for him. So it was very interesting and funny at the same time. And they also very enriching to see the exchange of the cultures. Everyone brought their energy and ideas. And so that was very interesting.
Amazing. All right, we're just gonna start here with the first part of the film festival. Everybody, please enjoy the short film called Hope.
Matangi numi numi o, numi numi o. Me ora koi tangaro ki te moana nui e, me keo koi. Tangaro e te taurima, te titi o te waka. Tangaro e te taurima, te tata o te waka. Me taku waka ka tere ki te moana nui e, iyo.
This program is for the United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, where we have young people as part of our Youth for the SDGs Scholarship Program, coming on board the ship and sharing their stories and experiences for ocean conservation and climate action.
I've learned so much more than I thought I would in the 3 weeks that we've been here. Throughout the whole Youth for SDGs program, we sailed through the Arctic, and through all the ports and on the boat, we met educators, scientists, passengers on the Peace Boat who have love and interest in all the SDGs, all 17 SDGs.
You're providing a platform for transformative learning, in the sense that these young people, they get so much exposure to the challenges, but also the good practice that exists in a wide range of countries. And I think that this kind of learning and this kind of experience, especially for young people, can have lifelong impacts. This is the kind of initiative that can really transform the way that people see the world and the way they see what's possible. That transformational learning that they're experiencing via Peace Boat, they'll go home and they'll share it with their communities and sort of plant the seeds for learning that will continue all throughout the next generation.
I hope that this program that we've just done, that we've just been through, inspires change. And hopefully it's able to inspire the people around us, the people that we will go back to our country, and hopefully we will change their views, their ideals, be more realizing that the ocean needs us.
Okay, round of applause, everyone, for Luis Barreto's film called Hope for Climate Action. Again, this was filmed on board the Peace Boat. As we're traveling the world, we visit more than 20 countries every 3 months, traveling to the Northern Hemisphere all the way to the Arctic, and then also once a year traveling down to Antarctica and Patagonia through the Southern Hemisphere. And with us, we bring these incredible youth leaders working for ocean and climate action. So next, I would like to introduce Valentina Jimenez, who is also a filmmaker, storyteller, and climate activist. Valentina, you joined us on board our last summer voyage from Mexico, sailing up to Vancouver and Alaska, also visiting the fjords and the glaciers there. How was your experience on board?
For me, I'm a nature lover, so going through these landscapes were absolutely mind-blowing to me. Never been close to glaciers in that sort of magnitude, and Alaskan fjords and glaciers were spectacular, to say the least. For me, it was like a really eye-opening experience of just like different realities and, different countries and also culture. It was like, I would say, a profoundly learning experience for me.
Amazing. And as a filmmaker yourself and storyteller, why do you think the power of film is so important, especially at venues like this at COP29?
I think we need different stories in order to change the world, and I think the power of storytelling and different methods is a great way to for awareness raising, I would say. So storytelling can be an incredibly powerful tool to reach other audiences that may not know of these issues, because otherwise we're gonna remain in these like echo chambers of reaching to the same people. But we need powerful storytelling and emotional storytelling that will create a meaningful change and impact.
Absolutely. And on this voyage, we went from biodiversity hotspots of the coral reefs and mangroves in Mexico. We did a beach cleanup and shoreline experience with Oceanwise in Vancouver, Canada. And then we went to Alaska, where we really experienced the majesty of these incredible glaciers. What was your highlight of the trip for you?
It's hard to decide because we spent a little bit more time in Mexico, engaging with the communities at the local level, and also learning from their local initiatives, which was like really inspiring and hopeful to see. And as a person from Latin America, and I'm from Ecuador, there's just like that certain connection with Latin American people, and it was like really special to meet all these people. But in terms of nature and landscapes, I would say I was really, really in awe of the landscapes in Alaska, for sure. That to me was like just purely, yeah, like you said, like majestic. There's just like not enough words to describe how beautiful it was, and pristine, like these lush fjords. It was truly like no other landscape I've ever seen before. And the amount of wildlife that we were able to see, we got pretty lucky to even see a humpback whale in one of the glaciers, which was like pretty rare from what they told us. What else? We saw orcas.
And puffins.
And puffins were so cute.
Lots of wildlife.
Never seen a puffin before. So just really different wildlife than what I've seen in Ecuador, which we also have pretty unique species over there, as many people know, the Galapagos. But then, just seeing just like the difference and the variety of biodiversity was truly amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Valentina. This is one of our goals, really, is to have our young leaders on board the ship working with us as part of our Youth for the SDGs program. That's the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This is a scholarship program for young leaders ages 18 to 30 who join us on the ship. And then we also invite them to join us on stage at global forums like COP, Climate Week, and all kinds of different experiences afterwards to share their stories. So everybody, please enjoy this short film from the Youth for SDGs program.
Heading out on our own with our hope in the clouds, and we're starting to see that we're onto something. Feel it coming, we'll keep running, nothing in our way, and we got no reason to wait. Let the journey take you where it wants to. We'll continue, find our way through anything we face. We got what it takes. Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful. Here we go, with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day, it's ours to take, and we will let it in. This is where the adventure begins.
Okay, so once you're in a group of 2 or 3,
Every step, writing stories that seek to be read, taking hold of the moment as we discover every color filled with wonder. Now we finally see we got everything we need. Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful. Here we go, with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day, it's ours to take, and we will let it in. This is where the adventure begins. Here we go. Here we go. Heading out on our own with our hope in the clouds. We're starting to see that we're onto something. Feel it coming now. Here we go. All we need is an open road and a chance to see a never-ending world that's beautiful. Here we go, with the sunlight on our skin. It's a brand new day, it's ours to take.
That looks like a lot of fun, doesn't it? We had so much fun on board. These voyages are inspiring not only to the Peace Boat staff members, I think also to the youth leaders for the relationships they make with each other, the partners that they meet in the ports, and of course, the incredible biodiversity that we get to see during these voyages themselves. So our next film is actually about plastic. We all know that we are facing a plastic pollution crisis right now, and looking at solutions to end this plastic crisis is something that's really important to us. But to do that, we also need to raise awareness. And using the power of film, we're inviting our partners from Studio Birthplace to next share their film called Plastic on board. This is going to be something that we've been sharing on the ship but also here on stage at the Extreme Hangout. And the group of the Studio Birthplace was actually here this past week at COP. The filmmakers came and presented a couple of other films. So they have a series of films focused on ocean conservation. So we hope you enjoyed this short, very creative film called Plastic.
Strange things are happening. Why is no one saying this? Ooh. Once it was just a dream. Now it's a certain calamity. I don't know why it's just maddening to see the walls start crumbling.
Thank you. Yes, let's give it up for Studio Birthplace. They have been doing some incredible work in finding these creative storytelling practices through film to raise awareness about very important topics. And next, I would like to bring back up Mr. Luis Barreto, again from Colombia, one of our filmmakers who created the first short film called Hope. But before Hope, he had actually already been on Peace Boat once before, where he traveled together with our Ocean and Climate Youth Ambassador program for a film called Against the Tide, which then became an award-winning film, which has been to so many different places and festivals. Luis, tell us about this first film that you made and what really inspired you to create the film in this way.
Well, as you say, this was my first time working with the Peace Boat, traveling on board. So my expectations was unknown. I didn't know the logistics, the traveling expectations, and then you met all these ambassadors, 7 ambassadors coming from a small island developing states who were very enthusiastic and then warm up the environment, the vibes, and we have this amazing journey for 3 weeks, traveling from Spain, Portugal, France, then England, then Iceland, finishing in New York. During all this time, we are on board of this ship, and then with lack of Wi-Fi, luckily, so we all engage a lot in deep conversation. All the guest speakers coming on board bring a lot of knowledge and lessons for all of us on board. So personally was a big learning experience for me from that side, and then and a privilege at the same time to be able to produce this film and to spread the message about these young leaders and all the climate change crisis we are on.
And this film, as I mentioned, won various awards. How did you feel being the filmmaker and seeing the film being put out there, receiving recognition? And why do you think it was so popular amongst the film community?
Well, that's a good feeling, obviously, but for me, well, more, I guess I feel more grateful about receiving all the feedback that we got from the films. People who watch it from different countries, from different networks. So receiving these messages and feedback and like just quick messages, notes about they got inspiration or they feel motivated or inspired by the film. So it's a good feeling, basically.
Amazing. And so we recently showed this film also on board the Peace Boat again, and Luis was able to present it in a theater. How did it feel also to bring the film back on board?
That was also special. Like the venue, sharing with the passengers on board. So it's a good feeling. And then if we, yeah, like the spread, see the film reaching bigger audiences from different parts of the world. It's inspiring and motivating too. Hopefully we can do more.
Absolutely. And now you're here at COP. And then, Luis, I'd like to ask you to pass the mic over to Miss Khadija Stewart. Khadija was also one of our Ocean and Climate Youth Ambassadors. She's from Trinidad and Tobago. And she has been on the Peace Boat also twice, similar to Luis. Once as an Ocean and Climate Youth Ambassador and once as a Youth for SDGs scholar. So Khadija, tell us about why you think storytelling is so important and how your experience was on the Peace Boat.
Yeah, so being on the Peace Boat was absolutely incredible. You know, that being from the Caribbean, being from an island and seeing a boat that size, that magnitude, I'm accustomed to like a baby ferry. So going on the Peace Boat and sailing throughout Europe and telling our stories and really getting people to connect to the importance of climate change and understand why everybody needs to care and not that this is just a problem of the islands. And that might seem like a bizarre statement to make, but when we were in Spain and we were having conversations with some of the students and stuff, they were like, well, climate change is not really happening here. So that's like more of a Caribbean or a Pacific thing. And we were like, no, climate change is everywhere. What do you mean? And I think after this month that they might be singing a different song and they might be realizing that climate change is very much real. But the only reason that we were able to really connect them to the issue was because we was on board the ship and because we were sharing our stories, not just through, formal settings like this, but also using dance. We were able to choreograph a dance with different cultures. So there were some Trini moves in there because I'm from Trinidad. They had moves from Tuvalu, moves from Palau, moves from Singapore and everything else, but really use that creative tool to get the message forward. And yeah, we were not accustomed to platforms like that and really understanding that, creativity is very real. It could be used as well. And it could be used as not just entertainment, but education. And that was something that Peace Boat helped us really organize and understand. And yeah.
And now you're here at COP. It's also your second time at COP with us as part of our Peace Boat delegation. And how do you feel that young people can really make a difference here at COP, and what kind of storytelling is, important? You're doing a lot of storytelling here with your own podcast. She's doing a video project, lots of programming that you've created actually after your voyage with Peace Boat.
Yeah, so I've been seeing several young people walking around, excited. Well, not really excited because the negotiations aren't going in the direction that we would like it to go in, but passionate and really wanting to mobilize our negotiators and our leaders to make proper informed decisions to secure a future for ourselves and future generations. And I'm seeing young people with so many different projects, so many different avenues that they're taking to get their voices heard and really filling a lot of different gaps because government only have so much capacity, certain civil society organizations have certain capacity, but I'm seeing young people identifying key gaps and filling that with identifying different projects, coming up with, again, using creativity, whether it be through poetry, art, photography, film. I've been doing interviews, really creating platforms, using social media, that has a huge reach. I think I put out a reel probably half an hour ago, and I already see over 2,000 people looked at it, not just from Trinidad, but throughout the Caribbean as well, So really opening the space to get people connected with the issue. Storytelling is so important. And it's so key that we use that more often than anything else to really get the message out there, because for me, I can't connect us statistic at all. Like, it doesn't work. But using things like the arts, that's so much easier, and it's more natural for us to connect to the arts. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, this film is very deeply moving, so I hope you all are prepared. It's a 30-minute short film, so it has a longer story about the Peace Boat and also shares the story of young leaders from all around the world, especially from small island developing states or big ocean states, and especially also the one story from a young leader named Selena Leem, who's also a climate activist from Marshall Islands, and talks about the experiences that she's facing with sea level rise. Anything you want to say from the perspective of youth from SIDS that might be important for this COP as well?
Whew. We need climate finance. Like, that's it in a nutshell. And I know negotiations are very slow and it's not moving in the direction that we need it, but we need climate finance, and not in the form of debt, not in the form of a loan, not in the form of anything like that. Just give us the money so we could survive. Yeah.
That's right. Climate adaptation needs finance, right? So these solutions have to find the funding somewhere, and that needs to come from a joint fund that we can all create together. So everybody, this film was also made by Luis Barreto and features young leaders from Peace Boat. Let's give a round of applause for Against the Tide, A Journey for Climate Hope.
My country is dying.
My country is flooding.
My corals are bleaching.
My country is changing.
My country is struggling.
My country is running out of time.
My islands are disappearing.
Peace Boat's Ocean and Climate Youth Ambassador Program set out to bring young leaders from small island developing states on the front line of climate change and ocean degradation together. Peace Boat, as an organization, we try to give people the opportunity to learn about issues from those that are really experiencing it. Perhaps when we started out the program, there was an emphasis on bringing the voices of small island developing states to the so-called developed world and sharing the message that from the front line of climate change.
The reason we're known as a small island developing states is because each one of us face similar issues when it comes to climate change and sea level rise. We have coral bleaching, our sea level temperatures are rising, and therefore hurricanes become more frequent in our parts.
The whole world knows Maldives as a beautiful country, as a paradise of the world and such, which is true, but that will not be the case in the near future. Maldives consists of 99% sea and 1% land, so which means geographically speaking, Maldives is already a very small and fragile country. And with the increase of sea level rise, it erodes the remaining 1% that we have in our country.
In Seychelles, 3 of the main islands, in total they have 62 beaches, and 33 of them has been heavily eroded due to climate change.
Hola, my name is Kaya.
We are all facing similar impacts in terms of increased cyclone presences, increased flooding, increased coastal erosion, increased sea inundation, which is causing further impacts in terms of droughts, crop growth, food security, water security.
So, and now I think most important action, one of the action is to really bringing the voice from the small islands to the world and how much dangerous situation they are in, and also that's how they're struggling but to survive or to build a sustainable society in their own island.
Although countries like mine, climate change isn't about losing money. It is about our survival. Our lives are at stake, and we call on the international community to join on the crisis.
We went to Lisbon, where we did presentations for an audience, and I learned a lot about what is happening in the other small island developing states, like Kiribati and the Marshall Islands. It was really eye-opening for me, because coming from Trinidad and Tobago, you'd find that a lot of people don't have the same connection with the environment. And one thing Matthias said that really stood out to me was that for some people, climate change is an economic issue, but for them, it's really a matter of survival. And where I come from, that's what it is, at least right now, it's an economic issue. I felt kind of bad that we don't really take it so seriously in Trinidad and Tobago. Meanwhile, other people, other similar small island developing states are having such a hard time where it's literally a matter of survival.
I will be talking not just about climate change, but also about the nuclear testing that happened in the Marshall Islands when we were under the US. So now there is a dome in the Marshall Islands that has been built to put all of the nuclear waste that from the bombing into this dome. But now this dome is cracking, and now a lot of the nuclear waste are pouring out of the dome and pouring into the water. So you can imagine what would happen with the sea level rising and the constant erosion of this dome, how it will affect the environment.
Less 20 hours, we lost 5-10 meters. That's really interesting.
So we've been learning a lot from Jerome, the photographer, about the climate impacts felt here in Lucknow. And specifically, he's been telling us a lot about how there's a big decision on whether to protect the shoreline using this system of rock or to relocate their entire town. I think for us, coming from small island states, it's been really eye-opening to see that the impacts that we're facing at home aren't endemic, and that there are places all over the world and even here in France that are facing very severe climate impacts, and it's not spoken about, it's not talked about. But I think more people need to learn that the problem isn't in some faraway ocean, but it's right here on their front doorstep.
I've been taking pictures for UNDP for the past 4 months now, and I've been traveling to a lot of islands within the Maldives, and I've been able to witness a lot of dramatic changes that are happening in our islands that's being unnoticed and that are being unspoken in a national level. And in Maldives currently, the government has not been taking any actions regarding this issue. And as you can see, there are a lot of garbage and rubbish accumulating in our waters, and the coral reef systems are being damaged, where a lot of fish habitats. And our islands are made of corals, and they also protect our islands from erosion and tides. But with the damages caused to the corals, our islands become even more vulnerable to climate change. And as you can see, as islanders, we really depend on the ocean for survival. Our fishing is our second main economy, followed by tourism. And I hope that these images will speak for itself in an international audience, and hopefully push the policymakers in creating changes within the country. Even if the whole world goes 100% renewable, tomorrow, it will still take a few decades until the atmosphere can recover from the damage that we've done so far. And Maldives will not survive that process. It's always the young people, the NGOs that are doing something in Maldives. But without the help of policymakers, we cannot make any dramatic changes. And what we need right now is dramatic changes, especially in the case of Maldives.
I was invited by the Peace Boat to participate in an event in one of the ports in London, to meet with the ocean ambassadors who were on board, but also with a broad array of young people from London, from different interests in different sectors in London, to discuss the relationship between oceans and climate change, but more than anything to discuss the urgency of addressing climate change due to the high vulnerability of those people who live on low island states. The event was, I think, was a very moving event because it was a very open, sincere conversation where certainly the ambassadors shared the reality of their home, shared the urgency with which the rest of the world must come together. And I think I was very impressed with the openness of the audience that was actually also young people. Hence, I again reaffirmed my faith that it is the young people who are going to set us on the correct course. And here we are now in 2017. Now, the good news is that for 3 years, as we were saying yesterday, for 3 years we've been flat in our mission. And now the question is, what happens after this? If we follow this curve, which is what we've been doing for 100 and something years, if we go up, we are majorly screwed. Because the moment you go beyond 2020 and go up, this means you go anywhere between 2.5 at the best to 6 degrees.
Meeting Christiana Figueres, someone who has held, very senior positions within the UN, has been very inspiring. Her eloquence has very pushed us to really see the bigger picture of what world issues are playing at present and how we can push our agenda for climate action or life underwater during this critical stage. And what I like about her is that she doesn't like to see anything impossible, and she pushes through.
And at the same time, we have to continue to inspire people and to be optimistic and to shine a light on the solutions. Because if we only shine a light on the problems and the absolute dire effects, we're not going to move forward.
For us, she came on board at a time when we were really starting to deal with a lot of hard questions and seeing a lot of people who were saying that climate change hasn't happened in my country or it's not happening at all, or giving us some of the hard questions, so making us really have to assert and challenge our position. And so I think spending time with her really reinvigorated us and really reminded us why we are here and why we are doing this. And I think that her words about being a stubborn optimist are really gonna stay with us forever, essentially. Because two parts, like you have to be stubborn to ensure that the fight carries on, but you also have to be optimistic that there is an end goal, that there is something positive at the end of all of this.
Have family and friends on each of your islands. Now the world will tell you that the feat of guaranteeing survival for everyone on your island is impossible. I tell you, never give up. Never give up.
Pleasure here in the Scottish Parliament to receive such an auspicious audience of people from around the world, from Peace Boat, and talking about getting rid of nuclear weapons from the world, having a world free of nuclear weapons, but also talking about climate change and about how the two of those issues work together. Was very moving. It was something which was quite emotional actually, but at the same time it was intellectual because it made you think about what we can do and about how we can stand together to stop things such as the rising of the oceans, about climate change, and that nuclear weapons have caused a large part of the problem, and that we can all work together to ensure that that problem ceases, and then humanity will be a better place for that.
Iceland lies on top of the North Atlantic Oceanic Ridge, where the Earth's surface plates are parting at an average rate of 2 centimeters a year. Individual fissure swarms are termed volcanic systems.
It's incredible. It's amazing how much they're doing and how they're really thinking outside of the box and really ensuring that they use the resources that they have, but in a sustainable manner.
It's interesting.
It's inspiring.
Yeah, it is. Especially since this island was able to produce 100% of electricity in smaller countries in Europe, and they have the ability to do something like that, and they're not.
I think that the peaceful, the venue, floating the venue, is the best venue that really to feel the importance of the nature of this, the world, this planet, and at the same time to know about the crisis, what's going on by the climate change, and to promote about the motivation to take action. For us, that's still I'm not satisfied at all. The present peace boat, the voyage, because unfortunately this ship, our ship now is a conventional ship and using the fossil fuel. And the cruise is now become very popular, but unfortunately that the cruise industry is not so enthusiastic to invest for the eco-technology. So, and I think that is we have the responsibility to promote more ecological, sustainable cruise. So why not we try to make a symbolic, the ship to sail all over the world with a message of the peace and sustainability. That is the eco ship.
I think the youth, having spent 3 weeks on board Peace Boat, I have an impression that they are inspired to continue working, doing the great work that they're doing. And importantly, they've met people along the way who are involved in the same struggle. There's a feeling that everybody needs to work on this issue, and they are working on this issue. So they've built networks. They've built networks from the countries they've visited, the people that they've met on board and within each other. And I think that is something, a big achievement from the project.
My colleagues and I are very privileged to have been selected as the pioneers of the Ocean and Climate Youth Ambassador Program. We have traveled around Europe on board Peace Boat, sharing our stories and making testimonies about issues related on climate action and life underwater. I hope our presentation tonight will do justice.
In the last 3 weeks, I think many of us in this program have learned a lot, not just about becoming more familiar with the climate impacts that are happening at home in our own countries, but also gaining a better familiarity and understanding of what our colleagues in other countries are facing, whether they be similar impacts, which there are a lot of, and also differences that are also happening in their countries, and either learning from the positive or negative experiences of those. But I think for many of us as well, it's been very eye-opening that we know where we are on a map, but for a lot of people, they don't even know we exist. Not only are we having to advocate on climate issues that are happening in our countries, but we're having to start from square one. We're having to tell these people, we exist, we're on a map, here we are, these are the impacts that we're facing. Because you can't save something if you don't know it exists, and you can't fight for something if you don't know that it's suffering, that it's having these climate impacts.
Looking out my window, there sits my grandparents and my mama's graves. White rectangle they are closeted in, it's inside, gray and still. My backyard is the 4-meter history of waves crashing and breaking seawalls built with uncles, brothers, and grandpa's sweat. That one great ball 2 meters high, my family's only protection from the water, made a mockery as the water has risen level with the land and spilled over human debris, weaving a remnant, a reminder of human beings' greediness. To the developed countries, to the advanced nations, you think you know us, but you know nothing. Nothing at all. Should I tell you what is happening in my backyard? What is that? You think you already know? You think you know better? No, you have no say. You have had yours when the man from the military said testing nuclear weapons, 67 of them, on tiny strips of land with many parts barely a meter above sea level is for the good of mankind and to end all world wars. How many wars have ended now due to nuclear weapons?
How many? How many innocent lives killed? Remember March 1st, 1954, when they dropped the Bravo bomb? Bravo! Bravo! Ever famous for leaving their mark behind like the mark on my home. The Marshall Islands is now a wary mother of a dome, all from the bombing for the good of mankind. With a sign that said, "Do not return" for 25,000 years, it has been 63 years. We have 24,963 years left until we can go back home to ruin it. The island, the land, this dome burdens. But now the waters have washed this sign away, eroding parts of this dome away, cracking and leaking harmful radiations out into the open. So foreign men who visited the dome to study it say the outside is more contaminated than the inside. And they leave again with numbers and calculations, no solutions, not a thought for us. Foreign men, do you think about my island's drowning? My island ain't got no time for 24,937 years. Scientists have predicted by 2050 we are no more. No more. 2017, I am here. My island's got 33 years left. 33. But in 24,937 years, we will be able to go back to ruin it. How far do you think she will be underwater? Looking out into horizons of waves, angry, hungry for redemption, a boo-boo sits on her plywood 10-inch iBed. She looks at me, sadness and confusion in her eyes. What is wrong with our islands? I don't ever remember seeing it like this. It hits me, she does not know. She does not know what is happening in our islands, not knowing these waves pounding our shore are human-induced. I swear, I will fight for this grandma. I will fight for my family, and I will fight for my country's survival. For bigger countries mock us after they have violated the Earth's virginity with their carbon-filled aphrodisiac, digging and pumping out fossil fuel from our mother's womb, relentlessly, constantly mocking us. At 1.5 degrees, at the risk of my people becoming climate change refugees, becoming stateless, becoming landless, becoming just a blue passport. The only identity of this grandmother and me. My backyard is not like your backyard. My backyard is trees crippled. It is broken bones unearthed from graves. It is nuclear radiation rich. It is tithed with white fangs. It is houses broken down, no more occupants within. It is the land getting smaller and smaller.
Bravo!
film won so many awards, right? It's very moving, very much an educational film, sharing so many stories, and most importantly, the testimonies of these young, incredible leaders adaptation and climate action. So let's just give Luis Barreto, the filmmaker, one more round of applause, everyone. And one of the major topics that's brought up in this film is nuclear weapons and nuclear energy. And that brings us to another important topic that Peace Boat is working on. We have been bringing survivors from Hiroshima and Nagasaki who experienced the atomic bombs in Japan around the world, and also promoting a nuclear-free world, a nuclear-free future for everyone. Here at COP29, we want to raise awareness and continue sharing that nuclear energy is not sustainable, it is not renewable, and it is not an answer to the climate solutions that we're looking for. Another issue around energy is also related to the green technology and the minerals that we are using for that technology around the world, which brings us to our final closing film of this United Nations Ocean Decade Film Festival. We're going to be showing a short trailer called Deep Rising. And for that, I would like to invite Mr. Mark Haver to the stage to talk about this film, just a brief introduction to the importance of why we need to work towards conservation of the deep sea. Mark, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Emily, and thank you to all of the beautiful filmmakers and activists that have shared their stories with us today. My name is Mark Haver, and I'm the Partnerships Manager for Deep Rising. Deep Rising is a film about a nascent industry, and I want to ask you all, raise your hand if you've heard about deep sea mining before. Nice. It's incredible to see how much this issue has gained traction over the last few years. When I started working on this more than 4 years ago, I didn't know what deep sea mining was. And it's been incredible to watch this issue move from the fringe to the forefront. Films like Deep Rising are a tool that enable us to understand what is this issue and how can we utilize this moment as an opportunity to say no to a destructive, exploitative industry before it even begins. Imagine if we had the opportunity to stop climate change before it even started. Deep Rising is narrated and produced by our Aquaman, Jason Momoa, and today marks a very special day. Today is the launch of our film and impact campaign to the general public. Starting today, you all can watch Deep Rising at deeprising.com. In 1 month, Deep Rising will become available on global streaming platforms, including Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, Google Play Store, and more. And starting today, we're giving you all the agency to reclaim your right. According to UN law, the international seabed belongs to all of us. And so we've divided the area that they're looking to mine into 8.17 billion pieces so that each of us can reaffirm our commitment to being stewards and guardians of the deep sea. Not just for you and me, but for future generations. I encourage you all to check out deeprising.com to learn more about the film, our campaign, and reclaim your right to our collective common heritage of humankind, the deep sea. Thank you so much, and please don't hesitate to get in touch.
Thank you so much, Mark, and please enjoy the trailer for the film.
Oil, gas, coal. 4,000 meters down on the ocean floor, another energy revolution is underway. Are we willing to repeat history? The largest living space on Earth lies in the dark oceans, and yet we know so little about it.
Now, you're planning to get what you call these polymetallic nodules off the seafloor.
Contained in our nodules are all the metals we need to power the green economy, such as electric vehicles.
This is a very big industry in the future. We have lofty ambitions.
The deep is home to countless unimaginable life forms. The nodules create a place to live for all sorts of organisms.
When you scratch the deep sea, and if we know that they grow to 1 to 10 million a year, there's no recovery. All the biodiversity will be lost forever.
We have this enormous deposit, 900 million tons of nodules.
You're sitting on one of the most valuable assets in the world.
Right now, the authority is at a critical juncture.
The conflict of interest should be very carefully examined.
The reason why these mineral resources are at risk is because of bad governance. We are running against the clock.
We will need only one to produce 1.5 million tons.
Are there unknown species there? Of course there are. Are we going to kill some of them if they're sitting on our nodules? Yes, we will. Our study is to understand what is the impact of taking them away.
Wherever humanity makes a mark in the ocean, the entire system is affected in ways that we are only just beginning to comprehend. Who really owns the deep ocean? And who should benefit most from it?
Thank you so much. As Mark mentioned, today is the launch of the campaign for Deep Rising. Please go to deeprising.com. You'll have the opportunity to watch the full film. It's incredibly impactful. And with that, I would like to invite all of our speakers up to the stage, please, to recognize them one more time, including Luis, the filmmaker, and all of our youth leaders. Please come on up to the stage and join me. I would like to extend our deep gratitude also to the Extreme Hangout here at COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. It has been a pleasure presenting all of our stories here and using the power of film for climate action. Come on up to the center, everyone. Thank you so much. Let's give everybody one more round of applause. And we look forward to seeing you all at COP30. Let's keep the momentum towards Brazil and working together for climate solutions and making sure that all voices are heard at every table. Inclusion and diversity is key to raising awareness, and storytelling is one of the most important tools that we have. So thank you so much for all of you for joining us today here on stage. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you again next time. Thank you.